And welcome back, everybody, to the Podcaster Nation. That's right. I said welcome back because I know you were just listening to our stuff and you came back because you wanted to hear more. Folks, you're brilliant because we have a lot more for you. The reason that we have a lot more for you is because this is the podcast that's about podcasters. It's for podcasters and it's done by podcasters. And our guest today, amongst other things, is a podcaster. That's right. Folks, this is the place where we all come together to lift each other up. And this is the place where the rising tide truly raises all ships. Let's get sailing and bring in our guest today. He's got 15 different titles. Doesn't want me to give you any of them. He's a podcaster. He's an author. He's a CEO. The guy does everything. I couldn't even keep up. I ran out of paper when I was going over this with him. So please welcome to the show, multifaceted and incredibly interesting, Ed Parcout. Ed, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for making the time. I know you're a busy guy. Let's see. Where do we start? You have
Well,
several
this is a show about
podcasts.
podcasting, right?
Right.
Um, well, we can start about. So I got asked to get on the radio in 2018, and my first statement back then was, "Do people listen to radio?" Because I used to satellite. I didn't listen. Back in the day in the 90s when satellite came out, if you paid $500, you could get a lifetime membership, and never have to pay again, and that's what I did. So I never listened to anything other than that, and it transferred to all my vehicles. So so I got on podcasting, but then on radio, and then after we do the episode, it just would sit, it's gone, right? Nothing would happen with it. And so I'm like, what can I do with this? And at that time, people have been podcasting for a while, but there was not what we have now. To now, 8 years ago is totally different than we have now. And so I would just upload it to SoundCloud because nobody could tell me anything else to do with it. And that's how I started. Technically, podcasting was the radio show would be turned into a podcast. And that radio show is called Real Estate Jerky. We give you something to chew on. And they had an opener about Smokehouse Studio and all that stuff. Because when they asked me to get on radio, they were like, what do you want to call it? Because in the past, all the different names were like Central Valley Real Estate. And I'm like, I don't want that stuff. And I had a blog back in 2010. I'm good at naming things. I don't know how it works, but it's how it works. So is my wife. And it's called Real Estate Jerky was a blog. And I said about the radio show, I go, it won't hurt me. What do you think about Real Estate Jerky? And they all sat there and like, oh my God, we could do Smokehouse Studio. We could do, and they did. And you could always get jerky to give away and stuff like that. So, so that's how I got on radio. I realized I had a deep voice. I had no idea. And then I got into podcasting after that.
That's absolutely awesome. All right. So, and that show's still going on?
Yeah, that radio
Yep.
show's still going on. And from that radio show, we actually do. So that radio show is done on Saturday.
Hmm.
Well, on Saturday, we actually have to record it during the middle of the week now because they don't let us in the studio anymore on Saturday, which my wife's so happy because we have our weekends back to go to the cabin and everything else. When I first started, she hated it because I constantly was gone on Saturday to do the show. And so we do it now. We record on
Right.
Wednesday. I record it from my studio at my house. I created a studio at my house after I had one at my office. I got my book. I'm jumping all over the place. Sorry,
That's
Rory.
all right, man. I'm right there with you.
So my book came out in February of 2 years ago, February 2 years ago, whatever date that is. What are we in 25? So I'd be 23. And I'd be asked to be on podcasts, right? Because that's what you do. You promote your book. 5 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, whatever it is, depending on where they're at. And you're like, okay, well, I don't want to be at the office anymore at these times. So I created a radio show down there in my conference room, made it real big to have people come in because that's what we had to do. They don't let us in the studio anymore. So I'm like, I'm tired of doing this down there. I brought it to my house. What I call the studio, what used to be called the third bedroom,
Right.
and it's got all the stuff in it to make it soundproof and everything else. And it's where I have like three different stations in here to do three different types of shows and or have guests on. So that I do it here. And I forget why I was going with that, Rory. But anyway, that's where I do all my stuff from here at the house.
All right.
And I think like it's how when you do podcasting, you have to figure out how to do it. And the pandemic is where I learned how to do it. Because
Yeah.
did you do Clubhouse back when remember Clubhouse
Oh, yeah.
in the
Oh, yeah.
pandemic?
Uh-huh.
So that's how I figured out how to do my roadcast board, all the different things. They had a Tanner, I think was his name, one of the guys that was in one of the rooms, and two other guys. That's all they did was podcasting, and they would have these rooms every day, and
Hmm.
you could go in there and ask them any question at all. And they actually on one of the shows helped me set up my board.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I mean, that's how I learned how to do so many things from just that. And then over time, just interviewing people. And I think I say I'm good at it, but from my sales, I ask people questions in the mortgage industry that most people wouldn't ask. I tell people I know more about them than their priest, their attorney, and their doctor knows. And so I'm used to asking those questions that other people won't ask.
Right on. So tell me
Yeah.
about your different podcasts that you have then, because we have the iHeartRadio show, of course. And then you've
Right.
got Inner Edison podcast.
Yeah, but so
Okay.
the from the radio show, I have a daily I do 5 days a week at 8:30 every morning with my co-host from the radio show, and that gets turned into a daily podcast. And I will say, if you're going to do a podcast now, do a daily podcast. And one of the reasons is to compete against all the different podcasts out there. How long would it take you? So you do 52 a year if you do regular podcasting, right? Because it's one a week.
Right.
Well, if you do daily, you'll be to 52 in a couple months. Right. And so you
Yep.
can build up your. I interviewed a guy who does a daily, and he has 1,000, and finally got to a point because of that many he's done over the last so many years. He has a 1.5 million downloads, and it's a history podcast. It's not a conversational podcast. It's a history one I wouldn't listen to, but 1.5 million people listen to it monthly,
There you
and
go.
he's monetizing that like nobody's business
Yeah.
because of the downloads. And that's because he got there. So if you're going to start one, you got to get there faster, right? If you're going to
Yep.
do it. So you do it daily. It's not easy, and no one said it has to be 30 minutes or an hour or whatever. It could be 10 minutes, a 10-minute daily.
Hmm.
I was on with a doctor once and he was interviewing me. He's like, and there was this podcast, and he's blah, blah, blah. And he's like, and it was done in 10 minutes. I mean, he was done. He was out the door. We were closed and we were done in 10 minutes. I was like, wow, he sticks to that 10 minutes.
Now, how long are yours on your various podcasts?
30 minutes.
All about 30 minutes?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
yeah. So yeah. My radio show is an hour because that's how they do those. It's like TV.
Right.
You go block A, block B, block C, and block D, and so you have an hour in between each of those commercials and all the other stuff you sell. But
Perfect.
our daily podcast is excuse me, anywhere from if it's just me, it's just the facts. If it's my co-host, we go back and forth a little bit. So if it's just the facts, it's going to be no more than 6 minutes a day, and that's when he's not in town. But when he's in town, or it's going to be anywhere from 10 to 18 minutes, no more than 20 minutes.
Wow, that's fast.
Yeah, well, and
Yeah.
that's because we do this different things, but that's enough. That's all we need. And because if you're going to cut it up and do it the way you should do it, well, I don't have to if it's a 5 minute or 6 minute already. There's no reason to cut it up anymore to put it all over social media. It's good enough because people will watch it. It's only a few minutes.
Wow. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
The Inner Edison, I say is 30 minutes, but if it's a really good conversation, I've gone as long as an hour. It just depends.
Okay.
And if it's 15 minutes, you'll know that that's never going to get put up.
Sure.
And
No, I
that's
know.
well, did you
Go ahead.
learn when you first started this that just because you record it doesn't mean you have to post it?
It took me a little while to learn that. Yeah, I thought that since I went and recorded it, it was like, well, now I have to. But that's how people go. They think there are rules that apply to them, and they don't realize that you can make up your own rules. It's your business. It's your podcast.
Your podcast, yeah.
Yeah.
I had a lady on a podcast that when video just started. Because when I started this, it was audio only. I had Squadcast, and they didn't even do video. But then come to find out when they released, oh, we do video now. They went back 2 months. They've been recording video the whole time, but just didn't tell you. Anyway, so she was coming
Nice.
on, and she's, oh, I didn't know this was video. I just got done working out. I'm like, nobody's gonna care. Oh no, my publicist is not gonna allow me. Let me make a phone call. And she came on, and the whole time we were arguing, because she would say this long statement about what she's trying to get across because she's, intellectual or whatever. And I would say, so basically what you're saying is, blah 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 blah. Break it down easier for my my listeners, which you're not supposed to call them listeners, you're supposed to call them you. You break it down, and she's like, no, that's not what I said. I said it's exactly. And so I gave it to my person who used to do my editing at that time. She's like, you guys argued the whole time, don't use it. I wasn't going to, but I just want to make sure that's exactly what we were doing. So you got to have a good. So I use
All right.
so I don't have that problem again. I use High Level, and it does my announcing to people they're going to be on a podcast in 7 days, reminds them in 3 days, 5 days, 3 days, a day, an hour before, 15 minutes before. Well, I had one lady who was very upset, and she's like, "Don't. This is just too much. This is crazy." And so I told her we're not going to be on the podcast together because if you have a problem with being that, just a text to remind you so that you don't understand. We plan these. We're here. If you don't show up, we've just wasted that time.
Yeah.
And it's just one way to weed people out that might be a problem for you to begin with.
Were these real estate people that were getting upset with you?
No, no, this is
No.
Inner Edison stuff. No, this is
Oh,
just Inner Edison play. So she was a coach, right? Supposedly. Well, so now if you go to my Inner Edison podcast, in my description says no coaches, no gurus, no this. I only want business owners who have had their, I don't want them, now if they owned a business for 20 years or did all these different things, and then they're a certain coach, I might talk to them first in an interview, but it says no coaches, no this, because you're just trying to get on there to sell people to be coached by you. That's not what I want. My Inner Edison is your greatest accomplishments come from your greatest defeats. I want to know about the failures in your business and how you overcame them so that my listeners can understand what you went through and what they're going through is normal. If you don't push the envelope and fail, you're not working hard enough.
right. Now you're talking to different listeners in your
But
different
like
podcasts
that,
too here.
exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, so my radio show is I never argue with anybody on that one because it's just a co-host. We argue, but so that's all real. That's people who might be looking. Well, let's back that up a second. When I first started the show, my wife said nobody wants to know about rates and all the time. And so it's really about community, even though it's real estate jerky. It's about, we talk about 5-10 minutes about real estate, everything else about community. So we have guests on all the time about that stuff. Inner Edison, I'm talking to business owners or somebody who's had a business or somebody who can help them with their business. Helping the Brave is for veterans once we take the uniform off. So I talk about a transition story, what they're doing now, and come to find out about 50% of them own businesses now too.
Hmm.
So it's a little weird. I didn't know that when I started, but now that's kind of how it's working. And then my third one is Aces 53, which had to do from when I was in college. I think I already said this, but I don't know if I said it on the show.
No.
It had to do with remember four aces and a joker. And that it was acronym ACEs: attitude, commitment, enthusiasm, and smile, which you bring to the table in sales. The joker is that unique ability you either have naturally or you learn. And for me, it was my deep voice. I sold by the phone for 18 years and I had no idea I had a deep voice till I put headphones on when I started podcasting and radio. No
Right.
idea. Yeah, no idea.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm
Excellent.
all over the place. I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
Not at all. I mean, I love that you have all these different podcasts. That's great. They're all serving slightly different customers, different demographics and stuff too. So you also we're in a 9-part series on hacking
Hacking.
real estate. You did that
Yeah, it
too.
wasn't when they yeah, so I was at a conference called Traffic and Conversion in San Diego and I got introduced to the documentary people and then we ended up hitting up in a VIP room and come to find out they were doing a documentary about real estate and finance, how people got made money in real estate. And I explained to them about what I did and how I had a show and they wanted me in the documentary. And that's how I got in a documentary. So I'm probably the only mortgage person that's ever been in a documentary.
Wow.
Good documentary.
Okay. Not
They've
a whole
been some that
homemade.
yeah, not one of those where they found you because you murdered somebody kind of documentary. I'm just saying a good a good reason to be in a documentary.
Appreciate you qualifying that. All
I
right.
wanted to
Excellent.
clarify that. Yeah.
So the book that you wrote that you talked about at the very beginning of this, Financial Freedom, Building Personal Wealth Through Homeownership. This is how did the book relate to the various podcasts and to what you do?
Well, the book doesn't relate. So the book relates to my mortgage company that I have. I've been in the mortgage industry for 27 years. And as different as I am in the podcasting and what I do, I'm the same thing in the mortgage industry. I do things a little bit differently. My whole goal is to figure out ways to do things faster and better each time. If there's a mistake, how do we make sure that mistake's not there? Zig Ziglar was one of my greatest people I used to listen to. And if you know anything about him, he would he would create his sales script. Any objection he'd ever get, he'd put in his sales script so he'd never get it again. And that's exactly what I did. And so that's how I sold by the phone that way. But I I wanted to get there's only one of me, and I wanted to get more of that information out there so people could understand that it's very easy to buy a house. It's very easy to qualify for a house. The people who make it harder are people like me that want to be, I'm talking mortgage brokers, mortgage
Hmm.
people in general. They want you to come to them. They want you to think it's harder. I don't want that. I want you to understand how easy it is. So you want to do it again. You want to buy another home or you want to move up. If because you hear the horror stories of people complaining about how bad it was and then they want to do it again. Well, I don't have those horror stories. So I wrote the book the same way I sell. I start with credit. I start with income. I mean, so it's credit, income, and then down payment kind of stuff. But a friend of mine, um, dad read the book and he's like, this is the first time I've read a real estate book that starts the first chapter off with credit. I'm like, well, because until you fix that, you can't own a home. And so you got to start in the first place. Let's get that fixed. Income, we can always help you find a better job. But then your down payment, not a big deal. We could figure out ways to get your down payment, or, you can work with family on that. Because I've had people who get a gift from their parents or somebody in the family, and then they're like, you know what? Until we refinance and pay you back, your partner's in this with us. So when we go to refinance you in the future, we're going to give you part of the equity because you helped us get this. And that's how your parents are going to say when you go to do that, no, thank you. But at least they feel that you cared enough that you did that for them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so that book, I sent it out to everybody. The whole book, a lot of people, it was bestseller in mortgage, bestseller in real estate when it came out. But that's not, so now I can say best-selling author, kind of thing. And it, if you want to be the authority in your industry, you need to do certain things like I've been lucky to do. And one of my mentors, Steve Sims, he just passed away about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, sorry, man.
And yeah. Um, See, I'm the vet. I am the medical field. I'm used to that. You know what I mean? I understand that. Unfortunately, things like that happen. As we get older, we lose people and more people. So thank you for that. But he helped me do all this stuff. He's the one who's like, okay, you really need a book. That's how you become an authority in your industry. So that's how I did the book. He helped me get set up with Scribe Media, the same company who David Goggins went through to write his book. And it did well. Did I make a ton of money off it? No, because that's not the purpose of it. It's to send to my clients because when I talk to them about certain things, we sometimes miss things. We're talking about different things. It's like we're talking on the podcast. I might forget something because we went over a different thing differently. Well, this way I give the book, they read it. It's an easy read. I didn't want War and Peace and I didn't want a pamphlet. You can read it in 3.5 hours and get everything done that you need, and you'll understand how easy it is. And another one of my friends, he sent it to his son, and his son was like, "Now I think I can really buy a house now because of it." And it just, I want people to own homes. That's how you build personal wealth.
Yeah. Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Now, you seem to be a huge proponent for that, obviously, with what you're doing. There seem to be a lot of folks who are kind of shying away from that, at least now. Is that just because of home prices, or is that just something going on in the culture, or what's happening with that
Oh,
sort of movement that you're hearing?
well, it's okay. Here's how this works. And for up until 2020, 21, and 22, if you went to buy a house, it was always more expensive than rent. It was like, okay, well, it's going to be $500 more than rent. It's going to be $1,000 more my rent. In 2020, when rates dropped to, in 2021, when rates dropped to 2.75, it was cheaper than rent to go buy a house. So people were like, oh, I should go buy a house. And then when it got the same as renting, I should go buy a house. But once it started going back up the other way, people were so used to that you now those people are like, okay, well, I can't do this now because it's going to be more than rent. It's an investment in your future. I don't know about you, but the first time I bought a house, it was more than my rent payment was. But then after a couple of payments, it was no big deal. I got used to it. And
Right.
then after time. So what the problem is right now is the uncertainty in the market is scaring people.
Ah,
They don't, that's the issue. People want certainty. Well, when you have certainty, when we haven't built, they say 3.5 I say we're about 5 million homes short nationwide of the houses we really need for people, but people haven't been buying because the people who haven't been moving up, they're stuck in a 2% interest rate or 3%. And I call it an abusive relationship. Because the people I'm dealing with now were my past clients who they had one child when they got the house, and 3 years later they have two more kids or whatever. Now they're busting out of that house and they need a bigger house, but because they're so comfortable with that payment, it's challenging. They understand that, hey, their payment's going to go up by $1,000 a month at least. And they're like, okay, well, and that's just because of the interest rate difference. Well, once you get the house, that house price is stuck. You will be, we won't be stuck at these 7% interest rates forever. Eventually, and people don't realize average interest rates are 5 to 6% on average. If you go back in history, that's where they are.
Right.
We were at a period of time when rates were so low, we thought we all were going to die. We'd have to go back to that in order to see those rates again, or they pay all the debt off.
Hmm.
So with this tariff thing, I know a lot of people don't like Trump. I don't really care if you do or not. I like what he's doing, and that's what I don't know him personally. I've never met him, sat down, have dinner with him, but I like what he does when he's doing with the tariff stuff. I know what he's doing with certain things. If he brings in the money he thinks he's going to bring in, which the thing about Trump, and some people are going to yell at me, but he's a narcissist. He's not going to fail. He, you know what I mean? He's not going to fail. He's just, that's against what he believes in. He will do everything in his power to win, and whatever that is, he will do that. That's his plan, and I'm okay with that. So if we can pay off the trillions of dollars of debt, we'll have 2% interest rates forever.
Wow.
That's the problem. So if we do that, which if they keep cutting and they keep bringing in the tariff money, because right now we're about slotted for 300 billion this year, brought in from tariffs, you could pay off a lot of that debt. Not all of
Interesting.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. You run into a
Let's
lot
just,
of people who don't connect those dots, you know.
everybody doesn't connect those dots.
You know, no
I
one
talked
seems
to
to understand that the tariffs actually impact all these different things we deal with in life, like our mortgage rates.
Yeah, well, nobody does. They think the Fed affects mortgage rates. What the Fed does is overnight rates to banks, the prime rate, the Fed funds rate. So the short-term rates is what they do. I always say the Fed and mortgage rates run on the same streets, but usually in the different directions.
Hmm.
Okay,
Good.
that's how. So when the Fed lowers, sometimes our rates go down. Well, the last time they lowered September of last year, September, they went up because it wasn't time for them to go down. The mortgage and the bond market that handles the mortgage-backed securities is smarter than everybody else, and it's not even a person. It just knows it's about fear and what's going on, doom and gloom. It loves those things. Well, the uncertainty last year of having more inflation because what they did by lowering the rates early is what caused the interest rates to go up. Because at the September of that year, I was refinancing people to 5.625. Which, if you look at they were at 7 and 8. So I was dropping people almost $500 to $700 a month in their payment, and they're loving it because they bought the house. It was stuck at the house at the price they got it at before. Because once rates go down to 6% from where we are now, if you ever seen a Tour de France, have you ever seen a Tour de France?
Yeah, the
You know
bike
that
race.
rider,
Yeah.
the rider that's out in front trying to win the stage? That's the person buying the house right now. Those 5 to 7 riders trying to catch him, or the 3 at the end, they're trying to catch up to him. That's the people coming when it's 0.5% lower from now. Once we get 1% lower, that peloton is going to be there buying houses. We're going to be back to riding 10 to 20 to 30, whatever the sellers want. We're kind of in a buyer's market because of the uncertainty. But sellers in certain areas are like, I'm not lowering my price. I don't care. I'll hold on
Yeah.
to. Yeah. So it's all over the place because people don't understand that they're afraid to. And I tell people, if you're going to buy a house now, understand that payment is going to be a little high, and you have to be okay with being in that payment 2 to 3 years max. You're not probably going to be in that, but I can't tell you it's going to be a year. But some people are like, marry the house, date the rate. I don't know if you ever heard that stupid statement. It's a great idea. I even heard it on CNBC the other day. I was like, yeah, it's been around for a while now. And a lot of people are upset because they did that, and they've been stuck in this rate for a while. Well, that's because they didn't have the right loan person. I contacted all my people in September when I saw the rates were dropping, and I locked them all in a 2-day period. and that because that's all it was there for was a 2-day period, and they all got those rates, and that's how you need to work with somebody like myself, a broker who knows what they're doing, that kind of thing. Uh,
Nice.
the brokers used to be 70% of the market in 2005, and then the whole market fell apart because of the all the different. Okay, everybody's going to say it's the mortgage people. It was not. It was watch The Big Short. It's how they rated the bonds.
Right.
The bond rating agencies should have went to jail. They're the ones who should have went to prison, but no. And that's where the problem was. Well, God, I'm sorry, I'm getting old. I lost my train of thought with that.
It's okay.
I was talking about mortgage-backed securities. And, watch The Big Short. It tells you where the issue is
Mhm.
and why we didn't have enough homes. But I'm just saying it's right now. It is a perfect time to buy because of the uncertainty. You can get a house in certain areas in certain places, and then the seller will help with your closing costs and other stuff that they wouldn't do before. Now,
Right.
places that everybody went to, not where they went from, but where they went to, that would be Florida, Texas, Tennessee. Some of those places are having trouble right now because of it's not that's always happens when there's a huge influx. Las Vegas is doing it right now. Then eventually there's some issues. Well, where do you live?
I'm in Indiana, so
Okay, this ain't gonna affect you.
no, we've been
So
nice and even.
yeah, well, I have my daughter just moved to Michigan.
Oh,
Same thing.
okay.
I was looking at the prices. I'm like, wow, you guys are the same prices. How's the humidity in the winter, in the summer? Oh, that's why the prices are there. Okay, you know, I'm in California. I pay the sunshine tax. All right, you moved to Texas. This is what people don't understand. I had a lot of people move from California to Texas.
Mhm.
And they're like, oh, it's amazing. Well, I ran the numbers. I'm like, okay, well, you got to make over $400,000 a year to make sense to move from California to Texas.
Wow.
Did you know that in Texas, the property tax is 3%? That property tax on a regular house that you live in, a residential house, single family home, will go up 10% of whatever the value goes up each year. So in 10 years, your property taxes double every 10 years.
Whoa. No, I did not know that's how
Yeah.
in Texas that does
But
that.
but there's no state tax. Yeah, that's it. 12% a year, but there's no state tax. Yeah, that's exactly why you go there.
Ah.
So, yes, if you buy rental houses there, your property taxes go up whatever the value of the house goes up each year.
Hmm.
I'm in California. We have a thing called Prop 19. On a residential home, whatever your value goes up, only 3% of that can be attached to your new tax bill.
Hmm. Okay.
So it takes us 30, 60, I mean, forever where, people are paying ridiculously low taxes on the tax base that they moved into that house. And that protects us. So that's not a reason to leave California. Yes, 44% of the people in California are the only people who can afford a home because of affordability. Well, it's been that way forever. I remember as a kid moving from Colorado to California, my parents couldn't afford a home. And that's how it's been. It's
Yeah.
been that way forever. And I tell people, if you're leaving California, rent your house out, go live wherever you're going to live for a year and make sure you really want to be there. I've had so many people come back from Texas. And then what happens is you sell out here, you move somewhere else, and then you sell and you come back and you can't afford a home.
Right. You can't buy. Yeah.
You can't because it's the value in that period of time. We went up 10 to 15%, and where you went up 3%.
Wow.
There's only one guy I know that was different. He bought a house in Texas, built it, and he made good money off of it when he sold it. Well, that's different. That's unusual. He does that. He builds house. He knows how to build a house. He doesn't do
Right.
it with his own hands, but he knows how to get all the contractors and do everything. And that's just what he does well.
Nice.
So, moral of the story: if your listeners want a book, have them reach out to me email me at ed@parco.com. I'll mail them a book. I don't care. Or, if they want to buy one, just go to my website and get it there too. But I'll mail it. If you have people reach out to me, just have them say they were on, from your show, and I'll send it to them.
Awesome. I appreciate that. We'll make sure that's in the show notes.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Thank you for that offer.
Yeah.
Um, with all these different
Because if you
podcasts.
write a book,
Yeah.
can I say one thing?
Yeah.
What people don't realize is when you write a book, You don't make money off of it. It's not the reason you write the book. The
Right.
people who make money off of books, they write series of book. It's a series of books, and that's how you make your money. So if you're doing one individual book, you're not. That's you make a few bucks off of each book. I don't care.
Yeah.
You have to sell millions in order to make a lot of money.
Right on. I've heard that a couple of different times. So I haven't heard about the series, but that makes sense because then you have a following, so people are looking for you.
Right. They're waiting
Uh,
for the next one. And then you build momentum, and then you get more and more people because of how the books end. So it's over a series. And I've interviewed some guys on Helping the Brave, a couple of veterans they're the ones writing for Tom Clancy now. And they also have their own series. Then a couple of their series, one's going into a actual series for TV, and the other one's a movie. So
wow,
yeah, so it just depends, and they're all military intelligent, books. They write novels like Jack Clancy kind of thing.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
With all these different podcasts and aiming at different, sort of demographics, different people, different customers, how do you go about promoting all this stuff?
I just put it out on my podcast. I mean, I uploaded Libsyn, and then I just promote it that way. I do shorts and everything else. The po- My wife asked me why I'm doing what I'm doing. I enjoy talking to people. I really do. It's not about the monetization of it. It's not about grow. I know it takes time to grow a podcast. When you drop only one a week, like we talked about before,
Right.
it takes forever to monetize it. It takes forever to grow it and whatever. The plan is, why are you doing the podcast in the first place? I'm doing the podcast to build who I am and my business. That's it. But I really do it because I enjoy talking to people and I get more information from other people about why they're doing the things. Or when I listen to somebody on Inner Edison and talk to them and interview them, there's a few things I get from my business. One guy I was talking about how um, people do not talk about the customer's journey on their website and certain things. And he had this whole long thing. So I took that, transcribed it, dropped it in Chat GPT, and created a prompt out of it. And and I have it review all my websites, everything I write, and it cleans up everything now for the customer's journey. So yeah, it helps
Hmm.
me with a lot of the stuff I learned to grow, which, it's, you can't have these conversations. I mean, you'd have to, I have like 13 different people a week. Where else can you do that?
That's awesome. I mean, if you're doing all these podcasts because you like to, I mean,
Yeah,
brother, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's
yeah.
that's awesome. That you're doing it for yourself and for those people. I wish more people went into it like that because everybody seems to want to start a podcast and then sell ads and monetize in their first episode. So it,
And
it
they
takes a
can
minute.
now on Libsyn. I mean,
Sure.
when you upload now, which just recently they put commercials in there, you can monetize. You'll get $1.25, every month for their downloads, and you can enjoy that $1.25. It's just like you once you get on YouTube, there's these people who monetize. They're not doing it for the last year. A lot of these people have been doing this stuff for 10 to 15 years. It just
Right.
seems like it's overnight. And that's the same thing with business. It takes time to build these things. And you just, I've gone viral on TikTok and Instagram, but that's not my purpose. My purpose is to get my message to that one person that I'm talking to. And that's how you should be doing your podcast, talking to, and that's the thing I've learned from radio. A lot of people, I've said it here twice now, which my producer would yell in my ear. They're not listeners. You talk to that one person. You talk to that person, and you call them you, and you talk to them any way you can that way. Because when you say listeners, they're looking to the right or left to those other people that are listening, not themselves.
Hmm. All right.
Yeah,
Excellent.
a
All
little bit
right.
of knowledge. Yeah, I'll give you from radio. Yeah,
I
I'm
appreciate
just saying I got
that.
yelled at forever. I'm like, they're listeners. They're actively listening. They're a listener. And he's like, no, you don't understand. It's because of how they're hearing it. They're not thinking you're talking to them. They think you're talking to everybody else.
Wow. I've never heard that before, but
Oh,
that's
you're not on
interesting. I can
radio,
see how it
huh?
applies.
You
Yeah.
need a
No.
producer. Yeah. So my producer's out of Stockton, and so they do that's where, all the big wigs start way up there. And so my producer, he knows what he's talking about because he's dealt with a lot of them. Rush Limbaugh started in Stockton, I'm sorry, Sacramento. So
Hmm.
that's not far from me. So I mean, a lot of people have come out of this area, and I'm at the point with my radio show. They've asked me to syndicate it, and the question is, do I want to do that?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I mean, not for nothing, but I'm over here going, why wouldn't you want to do that?
Because when you syndicate, now you have to make sure you have enough. All right. So I'm a local radio show. I
Okay.
focus on, and how do I monetize that? 50% of my business comes from the radio show for my for my mortgage company.
I see. All right. So it's kind of lead gen through the radio show for your business that you do during the day.
Right. But it also,
Yeah.
you have to be careful. I have a book, I have a radio show, I've been in a documentary, but some people think I'm too big for them. Have you ever
Hmm.
seen, there was a couple of agents. All right, this one lady I saw on Instagram was saying how, I promote myself on Instagram and she had a lot of followers. Excuse me a second. Uh, and she's like, I gotta take a drink.
Hmm.
Should be, wish it was later.
Hey, have at it. I've been drinking my coffee through this whole show. So
I have coffee still, man.
there you
I,
go.
I have 4 cups a day. I'm told I'm a lightweight. I'm like, that's way too much.
That is pretty light. I'm on, I think, number 8 already, but yeah.
Well, I also have protein in my coffee instead of milk,
Oh, I
so
see.
yeah,
All
so I
right.
get
All right.
protein from it.
All right. I start with creatine in the morning, but after that, then it's just straight black coffee after that. So
Yeah, well, I have a protein milk kind of stuff I learned a long time ago. Instead of using milk, I use it and it froths just the same, and I get my protein and it tastes better. Um, where was
all
I
right.
at? What was I talking
Yeah, I
about?
totally distracted you with the coffee, man. It's not that one's on me
I
completely.
was
I
coughing.
appreciate
I
it.
had to clear it up.
No, it's all good. You were talking about how you appear to be too big for some
Oh yeah,
people
you
to
have to.
work with you. Yeah.
Right. So you have to. So on the radio show, we tell people all the time, that hey, we're here because people when I pick up the phone and call them back or whatever, they're like, I didn't think you were going to call me. But that's what I tell you. I'm going to call you. I'm doing the radio show so that I can get the education out there and you can understand stuff. I'm the one who want to talk to you. And I was talking about the lady on Instagram, and she said the same thing that people like, people don't think I'll take care of their $500,000 home, their $400,000 home. And I only want the $1 million one or the 1.5. No, I want everybody's home. The reason I do this is to educate you, and that's the same thing. So you got to be careful because I've had people go, well, he's a radio star and all this other shit, and it's like, no, I'm not. I'm just a person who talks on radio.
So it's almost like you're overqualified for the
Yeah, you
job.
got to be. Yeah, yeah. So when
Wow.
you become the authority in the industry, then somebody might think you're too much of authority in the industry, you know.
Interesting. Wow.
So I
All
just
right.
talk to people. I'm limited to what I tell them. Like if they're thinking, well, I'm going to shop you. I'm like, please do shop me because I want you to do it now. Because once you get in contract, you won't have time to. And I've had people who are like, okay, well, I'm doing this. And I'm like, no, you use my contract for everybody in town who knows me. My pre-approval fully underwritten. And they know how I do business and how I close and how our company does. That's what you're using it in the contract. Don't think you're going to shop me afterwards. You need to shop me beforehand so you understand what you're getting.
Yeah.
And so
Nice.
I'll tell them, hey, here, I'm going to send you my book. That right there usually takes care of 80% of the people, right? Wow, he's got a book. He'll send it to me to read. But then, then you have to drop them on radio or they come from radio. Just you gotta be careful to, somebody might go, oh, he's too big for me. No, I'm not. I'm here. I want to make sure you understand what you're getting into. I'm helping you create one of the largest debts in your life, and I have a professional responsibility to help you manage that debt.
Nice. And you've been doing this for a long time, so you probably don't want to walk out of that business. But if you're being offered syndication, is that something that may at some point replace the
Okay,
mortgage
so
business for you?
back to the radio. All right, so people don't understand when you're on podcasts. Do they pay you for it, or do you have to pay for the podcast? Like you have to upload and all the other stuff.
Of course. Yeah, you got to take
Same
care of
thing with
yourself.
radio. Same thing with radio,
Really?
unless you work for the station.
Oh, no kidding. I had no idea. So in radio,
Yeah,
you don't get anything. It's just like a podcast on their station.
right. But if you syndicate and you have a broker who does it, they'll negotiate for you, get the full hour or so that you can sell the commercials in there also. The way I'm set up right now, I pay a little bit, they get the commercials in there, which is okay because people were going to come to me and I talk throughout the show about certain things in my opener and closes, handle that. I don't care about that. But when I syndicate, now I go into a new market. I'm no longer only local. I got to talk more national stuff versus
Ah,
local stuff.
interesting.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
and that's fine because a lot of stuff I talk about is work for everybody, but we do talk, about some local stuff too. But I've been in
Interesting.
certain places and they go, oh, hey, oh, you're Ed Parcout. You're from Real Estate Jerky. I'm like, what? You know the show? it's been going on since 2018. You forget that people are listening to you. People are actually, you know,
Well, so you're like a local celebrity then.
I guess so. People say that. I don't
Hey,
know.
that's awesome.
I'm just Ed Parco. I'm just here to give knowledge out when I can.
That's fantastic. Well, you must really enjoy the mortgage business being in it the way you are.
I can't say I like it anymore. The problem I have with it is here's the problem I have with it is, and this is going to come off political. You can have an idiot who gets interest rates 5% higher because they shut a pipeline down that starts the inflation. A government can mess with my business. I'm not saying it doesn't mess with other people's business, but other things like, how can so I'm at the point where I'm doing a lot. I found out with this last downturn, I was really upset the first year. Okay, that's an understatement. I was pissed. And then I finally listened to my mentor was doing a podcast with somebody. I was going through getting ready to go on some radio because I also fill in for other people on their live show, 3 hour shows, 2 hour shows, and I did that so I could get really good at it. And I was listening. I was walking by, I saw the thing, and I listened to it, and it was talking about one of his friends who was in a wheelchair, handicapped kind of guy, and he always said when something happened to him, he goes, "Did this happen to me, or did this happen for me?" And so I started thinking about, did this happen for me or to me? And I'm like, oh, it's trying to tell me I need to increase my other incomes,
Hmm.
right? And
Okay.
only focus. So I never focused on all that stuff because the mortgage industry, you can make a lot of money in it and you can save a lot of money and you have a lot. Well, this last time was a slap in the face fast for us and we had no idea it was going to. And typically it lasts maybe 12 months to 18 months. You have a slowdown, but there's other stuff. People keep buying homes. What we did to people took it from an 85% resale market down to a 35% resale market. So we lost 50% of homes that normally be on the market because of the interest rates. That hurts.
Yeah.
In my town, there's, we're closing 200 and something a month in the town. And are that, so that means there's probably, I don't know, 300 mortgage people. And if a third of them's cash, if there's this, there's that, that doesn't leave a lot of business locally. And I'm in
Right.
the other markets. But what I'm trying to get at is I learned I needed to do other things. And that's why I started my podcasting course. That's why I started a bunch of other stuff that I'm doing. I have a apparel shop for all my podcasts. I just created that recently. I was talking to some, so I don't know if you have VAs yourself to help with so that's something you can get when you do this stuff. If you don't want to edit it, do certain things. So I was on with somebody else and he's like, I don't even edit my stuff. I mean, that's fine. I don't edit out ahs, any of that kind of stuff because I want a natural podcast. If you don't want to, if you want the and ahs out, stop saying them. That's how you keep them out.
That's
Right?
great advice right there.
I mean,
I
you
love
can
that.
do that. One of my
Yeah.
words when I was on stage for like, because I also do speaking and other stuff like we all want to do, and was basically, and that's like, dude, and that friend of mine, Brian Galki, I do a podcast with. His was so, it was such. He said so much. We would have been drunk if it was a drinking game, and it's stuff you have to learn that you say that are safety kind of things. And a lot of people will be on podcasts and they're explaining stuff and they'll say, right. And then blah, blah, blah. And right. Right is not what you say. You don't say it on stage either. You're not trying to, because you're trying to get people to agree with you. There's other
Hmm.
ways you can do that, but you don't. So you don't say ahs, and rights. And basically, if you have to find that word that you say and just stop saying it.
Yeah. A little self-discipline, working on your craft. Those are interesting things. There you go.
Yeah. And people go, do you listen to your old stuff? I'm like, there's no way I could. I was horrible on radio when I first started. We're all horrible. We are. We're horrible.
We all have an episode one, man.
I know, but but even
Everybody.
then, podcasts and other stuff, I mean, totally different than today.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you got to do so much to get to a point where you just don't care anymore.
Right.
I mean, don't care that you make a mistake.
I know
Don't
what you
care
mean.
about your
I know
project. I
exactly
know, but
what
I
you
want to
mean.
make sure that other people understand.
Yeah, for sure. I love your attitude about it. Very down to earth, very very pragmatic. The let me ask you this. It's sort of my corny question that I ask everybody, and frankly, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. So, when it comes to doing your various podcasts, um, and you can give a different answer if you want for each one of them. But what is it about doing your podcasts that you love the most, and what is it about doing the podcasts that you really just hate the most?
What I love the most is just talking to people and finding out their stories. I don't know if I said this originally, but I've been on a few today. That what I used to get in trouble for sitting next to my wife at a dinner party, she'd squeeze my leg and tell me to shut up. Like I'm asking people's questions. Like I want to know why you voted a certain way. I don't care why you voted that way. I just want to understand why you think the way you do in certain things. And my wife would squeeze my leg to tell me to shut up. Well, on a podcast, there's nobody squeezing my leg. They can't tell me to shut up. I can just ask any question I want. They don't have to answer it. So what do I love about it? I get to ask questions and understand why people do certain things they do and why they did, where they got in their life and how come and all those different things. That's what I love about the questions because I'm inquisitive. I want to know. And
Nice.
I had one guy go, wow, you actually listen to me. I'm like, yeah, that's what a podcast host is supposed to do.
Right.
You ask a question, the person talks, and then you grab something from what they talked and reiterate on that. What I don't like about podcasting is co-hosts. So, except for my Inner Edison, I like that co-host, but and my radio show. But I've had my Helping the Brave. I've had podcast hosts or other people on the radio where you're taking a person down a path and then they go, look at those butterflies. That's your co-host, and it's like, what the, don't you understand? We're going down this path and we're talking about this and this and this, and we're supposed to stay on this. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. 100%.
You know what I'm talking about.
It's hitting home hard. I know exactly what you're talking about. That's why
You're
I'm
like,
laughing.
didn't you see we're going down this path and we're staying on this? Why are you taking us over here? Let's finish this and then we'll go over there. And
Right.
even my Aces 53, Brian Galke, he's a facial guy. He'll tell you everything about you by reading your nose, your eyebrows, your lips, everything. I mean, 100%. And people are shocked. And we were doing one, and he asked this. I'm like, Brian, hold on. And I went back and I go, can we finish this here? And blah blah. He goes, yes, no problem. He understood what I was doing because he understood that. Not everybody does as much as we've done, and they don't understand that. But it's like how I sell on the phone. If I'm going a certain path, I'm going to take the same path with every client so that they understand everything I'm telling them. And by the time we get done, fully understand how to do what we're going to do and move forward. It's the same thing with a podcast. When you're asking people questions and certain things, you want to go back and expand on that and figure things out. I don't know if I said this on it, but one of my first guests on my Inner Edison was Rob Angel from Pictionary. I don't care about Pictionary, but I wanted to know how he picked his business partners because they stayed together forever and they never had a problem. I'm like, how did you pick your partners? Because I think what does either your significant other or your business partner are the two partners that you're going to have trouble with. How did you pick those partners? And he went through the whole thing. And so I look at takes on podcasts different than other people, just because I'm curious differently than other people.
Nice.
So did I answer your question? Okay.
Yeah, it was a fantastic answer. Loved it. I don't think I've ever had anybody answer the hate part with the co-host. So that just was hilarious to me. That was
But yes, I find that I can, by myself, I can control the podcast, stay on what I
right.
want to talk about, and it's a better podcast. But my Aces 53 is Brian and I get along really well, and again, it comes from where our backgrounds are and everything else. And he's a great guy for facial recognition. He's on stage all the time and everything about that. And I mean, if you want to get to know who people are, you want to see, and he's subtleskills.com. Go check him out.
Awesome. Great shout out. All right, man. I've loved all this. As we kind of pull this thing down to a close, I usually like to end with the age-old question. What is your best piece of advice for all the podcasters out there listening who are not quite where you are yet?
All right. Well, I did a talk, 1023 of podcast, 1023 rule of podcasting. Did I say that on this yet?
I don't think so.
All right. So I did a talk that was called the 1023 rule of podcasting. And I did some real research years ago, and I found out that 80% of the podcasts fell after the 10th episode or before the 10th episode. So that was my 10. And then so if you look at 100% at that time, the other 10% of that 100% fails by the 23rd episode.
Hmm.
So if you can get past the 23rd episode, you've made it, and you're gonna be here until you just decide you don't want to do it anymore. And the reason the before the 10th episode is because people want to start a podcast, they get all excited, they record a few episodes, and then they realize it's a lot of work, or they got to pay some money to have somebody do the work for them, and that's costing them $1,000 a month, whatever that number is. But there's places out there who can do this for you. I'm not talking podcasts or places, but there's a place called if it's okay if I say Level
Go ahead.
Nine.
Absolutely.
Level Nine is a virtual assistant place,
Hmm.
and what they have is this pod, and what it is it's either, bear with me here, the numbers. Either I don't make any money off this, I'm
Okay.
not an affiliate, I don't
It's
really
all
care. I
good.
just they've all helped me very much. It's like 597 for 20 hours or 697 for 40 hours. Well, if you need them to do cover for your podcast, you have a person who oversees all this. They'll find the VA to do that for you. You need somebody to edit your podcast, they'll find somebody to do that. But it's for 40 hours, 600 and some dollars. It's like 17 bucks an hour. I had a whole website and all this other stuff I've done for $170 because it was 10 hours. I've done so much with this. Once I found them, because I had this whole list of stuff I needed to get done on my tasks. I don't know if you've ever done that. You're like, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this.
Oh, yeah.
And finally I was like, okay, I got them. And I spent in a 45-day period, I probably did 3 months of work in a 45-day period, moved it all over there. Now I have to finish it with them. But I did multiple websites, multiple funnels, multiple lead magnets. They're now going to be working on editing my podcast, uploading it, doing all the social media stuff that I want done. So I'm just saying there's an easier way to do this stuff than hiring people to do it for you. You can find these pods or you can hire a company who will do it. It's whatever works for you.
Great advice, man. Absolutely great advice. I appreciate that.
No problem. It's just I'm trying to make things easier for me, and because I did it wrong. I should have handed off my podcast stuff because I took it back from somebody 3 years ago, and because I wanted to know how exactly to do it, how to what's the best way to do it. I had the company call me up and said, "This is how we do it. This is what we found out the best way." I go, "What is that?" And they told me, "Uh-oh, my camera's getting hot." I wrote it all down. I wrote it all down, what they told me that was the best thing to do and everything. And I said, "Thank you so much." And then I did the same thing.
Nice.
I'm a pain in the ass. I know. So I
It's
found out that you want to, so whatever your podcast is, you upload that through YouTube, right? And then you cut that up into a 5 minute and a 3 minute. Then you cut it up into three shorts. And that's all you need to do. And you upload those when you upload everything else besides uploading your podcast. And then you also have to do the shorts are the ones to put on social media and different things so people promote your podcast. But if you just do that and upload that each week, you'll build your business and you'll build your podcast.
nice. I appreciate the advice, brother. It sounds awesome. I love what you're doing, and I love that you're doing a lot of these just because you want to. I just think that's one of the best answers I've ever gotten on this show. So I appreciate that very much. And all right, Ed Parcout. Ed, thanks for everything, man. Talking about all this stuff. Good luck with the mortgage business. Good luck with California in general. Everything you're dealing with out there, brother. But I love what you're doing, man, and I'm sure we're going to see a whole lot more from you.
Yeah, if anybody needs help with the podcast stuff, reach out. I'll help them through it. I'm not gonna, but I'm also gonna have my course up within the next 30 days. That will be up in a week. It'll be under podveteran.com. So
Okay.
I'm trying
And is
to
that
make any money off of it. That's just people are always asking me, when you gonna do you have a course? Do you have this? I want to know how to do podcasting like you. Oh, I can tell you a lot easier. Because I mean, even the equipment, right? There's nobody out there telling everybody gets you to buy that stupid mic. Remember which one I'm talking about?
I think there was with the Blue Yeti everybody was talking about forever, but
Yeah, this one, the Blue Yeti.
yeah.
That is the worst microphone you could buy for podcasting. But I'm just saying, people tell everybody that's what they get. And then you get that, and it's like, so, but there's so many things you can do inexpensive to start that you don't get one of these that sounds, echoey. They don't know what a difference between a condenser mic and a dynamic mic is. I have American Bully laying down here snoring like a banshee, and you guys can't hear him, but I can.
Nice. All right, man. I appreciate it. How do people reach you other than going through that?
The best way to find me is just go to Ed Parcaut everywhere. I'm Ed Parcaut
Okay.
everywhere. EDPARCAUT. And you can go to my website.com, but I'm Ed Parcaut everywhere. I learned a long time ago that through one of my mentors that you want to be the same everywhere.
Nice.
Same name everywhere. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, brother. I appreciate you very
Thank you.
much. Thank you for being on the show, man.
My pleasure. I
All right.
enjoyed it.
Folks, this has been another awesome episode of the Podcaster Nation. This is the place where it's about podcasters, it's for podcasters, and it's done by podcasters. And I mean, we really hit you with it today, but I hope that you guys understand this is the place where the rising tide truly raises all ships. So keep sailing.